The Mission Impossible franchise is one of the most profitable and highly praised franchises ever made. With the movie star doing insane stunts at 60 years old, incredible action set pieces, and emotionally well-written sequences, the franchise is finally concluding with Mission Impossible Final Reckoning. Until Tom Cruise decides he wants to come back.
I'm not fucking leaving!
But if you know my channel by now, well, I like to rank things. And considering I've never seen the first 3 Mission Impossible movies, now is the perfect time to watch them and rank them. So, without further ado, this ranking, if you choose to accept it, starts now. It's really fun going into this movie blind, knowing where the franchise has been going. Seeing where everything started with fresh eyes was quite exciting for me. I'll say it plainly, I think this movie holds up quite well for being almost 30 years old. A lot of the things you come to expect from a movie in this franchise now gets shown for the first time here. Interesting gadgets, hilarious disguises, and memorable spy moments are littered throughout this movie. This film is very well paced, clocking in at only 1 hour and 45 minutes before credits. And for my time spent, I enjoyed pretty much every second of it. I think the mission itself is the most interesting character of the film, since everything revolves around it. Ethan is put on the run since his spy agency IMF thinks he's secretly working against them. So because of this is why we get characters like Luther, a long-running member of the franchise, to be introduced. I really liked seeing the first building block of their relationship here. Is it very emotionally developed? Not really. But the acting is great, and the sequences they share are fun and engaging. I'd say that for most of this film, really. A lot of the spectacle covers up for a lack of nuance. Ethan is kind of bland. You just get to know him better later on down the line, so you kind of fill in those mental blocks. The rest of Ethan's squad, like Emilio Estevez's character, along with everyone else in the beginning, get very little development because they, die. Which, this scene was so fun, and caught me off guard so quickly. What a cold open. Even those who stay feel kind of empty though, like Jon Voight's character and his wife Claire, kind of just one-note disposable people. I did like Kittredge though. This guy was caught in the middle of a setup and just wanted to bring in who he thought was guilty. Unfortunately for the plot, we had to hate him. Fuck that guy. Dude kept trying to mess with Ethan, bro. I can't have that happen. The stunts, action set pieces in these were great. I mean, the iconic infiltration sequence on the wires was so tense. I really loved how quiet the actual sound design was for this scene, since it was supposed to represent how quiet it truly was for Ethan. The final battle, where the helicopter flies into the tunnel, definitely looks dated, but I still enjoyed it. The whole disguise mask pulling off bit was so funny. It happens like 4 times in the film. But other things like the camera angles used in certain shots, the music, I mean, I'm gonna be blasting this soundtrack in the car. But yeah, for a first time watch, this film was fun and easily digestible, so I'm going to put it in B tier. Also, it's crazy to think that the guy that made Scarface made this movie. What a catalog. This is the movie that has Tom Cruise throw his sunglasses into frame as they explode to reveal the title card. Cinema! Of all the Mission Impossible movies I hadn't seen, I was anticipating this one the most because I've only heard the best of things, which involve ridiculous action sequences, insane plot details, and an incredible amount of fake face reveals. And that's exactly what I got! This movie was directed by John Woo, and fun fact, was supposed to be 3.5 hours long, but the studio forced him to make it under 2 hours. Jesus, this sounds familiar. Honestly, I have pretty mixed opinions on this film. I think it's quite entertaining, but I couldn't help but find the later half of this movie getting so over the top that it was hard to watch sometimes. When I say this film is early 2000s action jank, I mean it. You'll have gunshots with some Saudi overlay coming out of the gun, quick camera cuts, and some of the most insane dialogue you've ever heard.
You mean it'll be difficult?
Very.
Well, this is not mission difficult, Mr. Hunt. It's mission impossible. Difficult should be a walk in the park for you.
Some action set pieces are quite fun to watch though. I mean, that is the whole point of this franchise. I think the whole breaking in section was handled well here, and the final action sequence was bar none just straight apeshit craziness. There's a part where Tom Cruise and the villain, Sean Ambrose, fling each other's bikes in the air and they explode onto each other. Fucking awesome to watch. In terms of character development, I feel like Ethan was the shallow kind of character like in the first one. They give him some depth, I guess, by making him care for Naya, his partner in crime, a thief helping him on a mission, but I couldn't really buy it. They meet once, have sex, and then immediately fall in love? Come on, Ethan, you need to develop a long-lasting connection, talk for months, get into a situationship that lasts way too long, and then eventually end things before learning anything before you can say you're in love with them. Anyways, Naya was at least a better written character than Claire from the previous film, but that's not really saying much. The antagonist, Sean Ambrose, was so cartoony it was kind of hilarious. This dude has the most insanely strong accent and absolute diabolical villain motivations. His whole plan of releasing a deadly virus on the planet for no real reason besides money was kind of refreshing. Like, sometimes all I need is a diabolical villain for the plot without the traumatic backstories, you know? But yeah, this film is hilarious. It's a good time if you're 10 beers deep looking to throw something on, I'll tell you. Because honestly, you don't have to watch the first one to understand what goes on here. It was nice seeing Ving Rhames again, but other than that, I'd throw this movie in C tier. It's fun, but I don't know when I'd ever want to rewatch this one again. This movie startled the shit out of me from the first scene. I put this on, and seeing Ethan absolutely beat to shit getting a gun pointed at some woman by Philip Seymour Hoffman had me shook. Oh my, that shit had me locked in right away. Mission Impossible 3 just amplifies what made the first two great, but also by being more interested in developing some characters. I liked that Ethan felt more like a person in this one, finding solace with someone he loves and cares for in Julia, someone he literally marries in this film. I felt like Ethan was kind of one note in previous films, so it was nice to see some layers finally being added to him. Only took 3 films. Other side characters felt more organic too, like Julia, who's easily the best female character so far, actually having what seemed to be emotions and an actual job in the real world. And Luther coming back to help too was nice to see. Head of IMF Brassel, played by Lawrence Fishburne, was great, and he also has one of the coldest lines in the whole film.
You can look at me with those judgmental, incriminating eyes all you want, but I bullshit you not. I will bleed on the flag to make sure the stripes stay red.
God damn! I'm glad we get introduced to some new characters too, like Benji, the GOAT for later movies down the line. His time will come, just not in this movie. I'm afraid he's barely in it. However, I think this movie's villain is what sets it apart from the previous for me. Now, there is 2 villains, technically, and neither of them are super layered, but Philip Seymour Hoffman's Davian and Billy Crudup's Musgrave's surprise villain arc were incredible. I found both characters to be extremely interesting to watch on screen, obviously because their performances were really good, especially Philip Seymour Hoffman. I mean, he kills it in every scene he's in. But as mentioned before, the scene where Davian holds Julia at gunpoint, only for it to be revealed it wasn't her, it was one of his workers. 10 out of 10 scene. So well made and incredibly gripping. Finding out that Billy Crudup's been working in the gray, essentially, helping Davian only to turn on him later and use him for government gain, was entertaining too. And it also helps that Tom Cruise killed it with his performance in this scene. Now, this movie's action is incredibly gripping. Definitely the best between the first 2. The opening rescue mission, saving Hunt's protege Lindsay, was really well made. I was locked into my seat when that was going on. Watching Hunt and his team break into the Vatican, or watching Hunt steal the bad trinket of the film called Rabbit's Foot from a Shanghai building was crazy. The whole final fight between Davian and Ethan was super entertaining too, not only because the fight choreography was good, but the emotion and the sound design. All of it worked really well. Also, huge props to the sound design team for this movie, because so much of what I liked about the action relied on the set design making it seem more realistic, and it felt so expressive and explosive every time. I guess my only real criticisms for the film rely on the fact Hunt's relationships felt kind of hollow. It's hard to take Hunt seriously when in every single film he's had some form of love interest, I guess. Especially in the last movie, since Naya was such a crucial part of that film. Like, why wasn't she in this? Also, it's hard to feel sad for him losing his protege when the only history they've shown was between them in flashbacks, like 10 minutes into the film. I'm shocked they didn't just use Naya from the last one instead. I feel like that would have hit way harder and would have concluded her character arc in some way, at least, instead of this open-ended question. But other than that, I really enjoyed this film. It's fun, characters are developed more, and it looks really good for being almost 20 years old. And the villains were great too. So with that being said, I'd put this film in A tier. Oh God! I love this movie. Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol sets this series in a newer direction, and it's just so apparent. The style, the action, the comedy, the development, the storyline. Oh God, this shit's too good.
This right here is my favorite thing.
I think based off of my initial reaction, you guys can tell that I love this movie. So let's talk about why. First off, it continues the story from the third one in a way that isn't regurgitating a similar plot. This whole government conspiracy is used in such an engaging way. Everything mentioned or brought up in this movie has a proper payoff by the end. Like Ethan rescuing the Russian inmate in the beginning helps him out near the end, for example. I love the whole idea of Ghost Protocol in general, where the IMF just shuts down, so it's just Ethan and the 3 people around him that have to take on this Russian spy team. Not only do the stakes get raised because there's less people around him, but the story feels intimate too, since there's only 4 team members we need to worry about. Speaking of, I personally think this squad is the best team Ethan's ever had in the whole series. The layers they add on all of them too? Good God. Jane is a badass female character. Her passion for revenge, since one of the assassins in this film kills her partner, was incredible, clouding her judgment, leading to mistakes in the field later, but also leading to nice one-on-ones with not only Brandt, a new character, but with Ethan, dissecting what it means to feel loss. I'm a huge fan of Jeremy Renner. Love the guy. Seeing how his character is introduced here was so much fun, and unpacking his label of analyst to, in reality, dude's a special ops agent was awesome. Finding out he was tasked with watching over Ethan after the events of 3 and feeling immense guilt for getting Julia killed was very sad. Oh yeah, Julia was killed off apparently, until she wasn't. But before finding that out, Brandt as a character has so many facets to him that it was really fun to watch. And Benji? Well, he's Benji. He's awesome. Plus, the team chemistry is just hilarious, but in a way that the humor doesn't overwhelm important scenes either.
Your line's not long enough! No shit!
The mission takes the team to so many cool places where iconic scenes take place. I'd be hard pressed to find someone who doesn't think the climbing the Burj Khalifa sequence was incredible. And if they didn't have their jaw clenched the whole time, they might be insane, because dear God, that scene from start to finish was super engaging for me. That whole Dubai section in general is top tier action filmography. From Ethan and Brandt fighting guards, to Jane killing one of the assassins, to Ethan being in a car chase in the middle of a dust storm? Cinema. The whole Kremlin infiltration section was gripping from start to finish too. I mean, the little tool that replicates the background was such a fun technology, but after clearing the Kremlin and seeing that shit explode to pieces, locked in right away. Finally, the whole India infiltration sequence is so much fun. You see Brandt deal with some horrific shit like jumping 30 feet into a propeller. God bless Benji for being right.
So I'm jumping into an oven, essentially.
Yeah, essentially. But, I'll catch you.
Great.
Getting his ass fried to insert codes, Jane becoming a literal goddess. Dear God, forgive me for what I'm about to do. And Ethan straight up driving a car 100 feet straight down and not dying? Ain't no way. One airbag saved this man's life. He straight dive bombed into the ground. How action is filmed in this movie is incredible too. Easily the best in the franchise so far. The hand-to-hand combat was upgraded immensely. There's one part where Ethan and Brandt trade guns and it's so goddamn smooth. Action doesn't feel cartoony, but more so engaging. Not saying the first 3 weren't, but I think Protocol takes it up a really nice level. Also, the surprise ending that Ethan's wife Julia was actually alive, but he just had to keep it a secret, was shocking, but also heartfelt, and it concluded Brandt's character arc of being guilty really well. Also loved that Luther had a cameo at the end. Can't complain seeing Ving Rhames. Overall, Protocol does everything right. Characters are developed, side characters aren't one-dimensional, they have layers. Action is perfected, tension is gripping, and the story is super engaging. Ghost Protocol is easily an S-tier Mission Impossible movie. It pains me that this is the only movie with this squad going forward though. Cheers. Rogue Nation continues the franchise's momentum that Ghost Protocol started. It looks great, has so many iconic sequences, and is genuinely a ton of fun from start to finish. I mean, the movie opens with one of Tom Cruise's most insane stunts, by hanging on the outside of a plane just dangling free. Ethan picks up where the previous movie left off, trying to uncover the secrets behind this infamous syndicate operation force. However, the caveat here is that, like in Protocol, Ethan is on his own with only the help of his team to stop them. It seems these movies just work 10 times better whenever IMF is unable to help the team. Anyways, this brings back characters like my GOAT, Brandt, Benji, and thankfully, Luther, who isn't just a cameo this time. All of these characters get plenty of moments to shine. For Brandt, although I wish he was able to do more agent work like in Protocol, I found his conflicts with Ethan about what to do against the Syndicate was entertaining to watch, as well as him having to navigate around the CIA just to get to Ethan. Benji is one of those guys whose screen time is just pleasant whenever he's there. But a particular favorite moment of mine was when he stood up to Ethan, proving he's a solid friend. This is why he's my GOAT. Luther's someone who's consistently pretty funny. So when partnered up with Brandt, who's been funny himself,
Right.
they work off each other phenomenally. I really wish we got more of these two. For instance, the car chase sequence in Morocco was a 10 out of 10 in general. That whole chase sequence was legendary, but the little moments of humor spliced in there because of Brandt and Luther were great.
It's a high-speed chase. You just had to get the 4x4, didn't you?
Don't blame me. You chose
You
this
just
car.
had to have it.
But with these films comes new characters basically every single time. So the newbies this time around are CIA executive Alan Hunley and Ilsa Faust, who's, Lord have mercy, I'm simping for every time she's on screen, cause god damn! Hunley's character was a fun kind of foil. Although not as passionately antagonistic as Kittredge was, he still had some moments with Brandt, for instance, that were entertaining to watch. Ilsa, though, is basically a full-fledged character in this. She's got her own motivations, immense action set pieces, and a full character arc that propels her from basic side woman character to her own fleshed out character. In my opinion, she's probably the best written female character we've gotten in the series up to this point. I still love you, Jane. You were done wrong. I wish you were here. But Ilsa, she's got my heart now. I'd say in terms of Ethan's character, he's back to that pre-Mission Impossible 3 vibe, where the layers aren't as prevalent. He's still super engaging, and the previous two movies helped him a lot here in terms of nuance. But still, there's not much to build on besides the previous movies giving him emotional depth. This movie's action, though, as I pointed out, the opening sequence was super entertaining. That's not even the best part in my opinion. Watching Ethan fight to keep his oxygen levels up while inserting a system key underwater while dodging this machine thing had me literally on the edge of my seat. Fun fact. I tried holding my breath to this whole scene and almost saw God past minute 1. The motorcycle car chase sequence in Morocco was a blast too. Ethan secretly taking out Syndicate members in Vienna was also entertaining as hell. And the final act, where Ethan reveals the Syndicate was an operation catalyzed by British intelligence and stopping Lane was... You didn't even need to have some crazy shenanigans happen. It was kind of a simple final act, but it was still super fun to watch. I thought Lane was a pretty decent villain, not my particular favorite. He was kind of boring. Like, I didn't really enjoy watching him on screen, but I do enjoy the idea behind an anti-IMF, an organization designed to destroy governments. I think that's pretty cool. I'd say I enjoyed this movie as much as Ghost Protocol, although I don't think it's better than it, but I will still put this right behind Protocol in S tier. I really have no issues with this movie. It's a ton of fun. It really is just banger after banger after banger, huh? Fallout just proves that. Fallout is the first movie of the series I saw in theaters, and I remember enjoying it then. But now, yeah, it still rocks. The whole post-protocol thing here is still super prevalent because this film just knows how to entertain. It's the perfect kind of film where the action is incredible, the stakes are raised, the stunts are insane, but the story is still engaging enough where it doesn't seem cartoony or cringy in any way. This movie is the long-lasting effect of the aftermath of Rogue Nation. Put simply, because Ethan locked up Lane from Rogue Nation, his Syndicate supporters started their own group called the Apostles, with John Mark writing manifestos trying to continue what Lane started. It's quite engaging, and has this world is going to end if Hunt and co can't stop them vibe. Ethan gets a lot of critical development in this film, which was so crazy now having seen the third movie for the first time. I knew Julia was important, but now understanding why she was so important is game-changing for me, and honestly makes this film better. For instance, the reasoning why they weren't together in 4, how she made do without Ethan, how she learned from Ethan to eventually do what she's doing now. I really liked that kind of emotional closure Ethan got there with her, because it's rare to get any closure for some of my favorite characters in this franchise. God damn it, I miss you, Brandt. And you, Jane. The rest of the team from 5 is here though. Benji gets some fun moments to pop off and have fun, as well as just prove how capable he is on the team. Sure, he can't fight as well as Ethan or Ilsa, but dude pulls off impersonations hella well. Luther is the man, constantly having having Ethan's back, working on stopping the bomb detonation was huge, and I honestly just enjoy knowing he's been in every single Mission Impossible movie. Ilsa continues to prove she's awesome. At first you question why she's even in this film, but how the story goes about revealing her reasons was quite intelligent. It's quite understandable why she's doing what she's doing after she reveals that she's doing it because her government is tracking her every move, because she went deep undercover working with Lane in all of 5, so she's considered a threat. Plus, her chemistry with Tom is great, and that one moment she shares with Luther where he tells her she's one of the few women Ethan's ever cared about was pretty sweet. Hunley makes a return appearance from 5, and while the dude dies, rest in peace, his involvement this time around was very entertaining. I especially enjoyed his scenes with Ethan, building up the conflict more and more, eventually revealing Walker's big secret. Now, Walker, Henry Cavill, my beloved. He's so goddamn good, dude. I don't know who's my favorite villain per se, either Walker or Philip Seymour Hoffman's Davian. It's hard to choose, but Henry plays this CIA turned terrorist to a T. Every scene he shares with Ethan's team is really fun, and watching that final battle between him and Ethan is so chaotic and engaging though. It was so tense. I think the reason I like him a lot is because of how much we see of him. Unlike most other Mission Impossible villains, he participated in helping the team, so you see him build chemistry with them, and then turning on them was just icing on the cake. Again, the stakes are raised immensely here, but with an intent to engage. Every action sequence is totally worth watching. It's a glue to your seat for how good it is type film. The opening airplane stunt, impeccable. Bathroom fight is iconic. Henry's load-up arms, I mean, legendary. The stunt where Tom Cruise breaks his ankle jumping from one building to another was awesome. I mean, the whole final battle was actually the most insanely entertaining thing I've seen. The helicopter chase? Oh my god. But also watching Ilsa fight Lane, Luther and Benji cutting the wires, I mean, if you ain't clenching your cheeks during this whole sequence, I don't know what you're doing. Like I said before, Fallout really understood what made 4 and 5 so much fun and engaging, and delivers on that perfectly. In my opinion, I'd throw this film in S tier right behind Protocol. For me, I just think the Protocol team was peak. Alright, but honestly, all of S tier is interchangeable for me. They're all really good. This movie also has a special place in my heart because it is the reason why Henry Cavill has a messed up face, because they CGI'd out his mustache that they didn't let him shave for this movie. After 3 bangers, it was only a matter of time before it hit a hurdle. Now, I ain't saying this film is bad by any means. Far from it. However, it is a lot messier than the previous 3 installments, by far. I think Dead Reckoning has parts to it that are very interesting in terms of ideas, but its execution is corny as hell. Now, the best things about this movie all fall on this film's incredible ability to raise the stakes even more in terms of stunts. Now, this may be a part of the film's downfall, because apparently how these movies are made is the story kind of revolves around the stunts Tom Cruise wants to do, but god damn, it looks sick as hell. The whole sequence of Tom flying off the cliff on a dirt bike had my arm hair standing up. Also, this movie is the closest we will ever get to a proper Uncharted scene. That train ending took me back to being a little kid again, seeing Nathan Drake on my PS3 wake up hanging on to a fallen train. Bro, that game was phenomenal. This film's set pieces are gorgeous. The action is stellar. The stunts are insane. Like I said, the whole final 40 minutes of the movie are so engaging, it's crazy. I actually couldn't contain the anxiety I was feeling rewatching this film during this part. Moments where Ethan is fighting Gabriel's workers while Ilsa fights Gabriel was intense too. Ethan and newcomer Grace driving handcuffed to a car had me glued to my seat. Straight clenching teeth type of scene. I enjoyed the whole airport sequence in the beginning too, where Ethan is avoiding police while dealing with new character Grace stealing his shit. Speaking of, I swear Tom Cruise must have a contract where he needs to interact with new baddies every film, because Haley Atwell? Dear Lord, how can I focus on the action when I got Captain America's shawty on screen? First Rebecca Ferguson and now Haley Atwell? In the same movie? I used to pray for times like this. The cast is great as always too. Ethan is a great lead. I loved how his character has just evolved into the kind of guy who will always protect his comrades or friends over himself, no matter what. The rest of the team is as fun as always, and the team chemistry is excellent. Benji and Luther bring the comedic moments, but also some down-to-earth scenes too. Ilsa, rest in peace, queen, I felt had finally reached her peak chemistry with Ethan, so I was high-key vexed to see her die in this. But hey, at least she got some closure. Can't say the same for Jane. Haley Atwell's character Grace has some great chemistry with Tom too. I feel like anyone who joins the team at this point will automatically just get along with everyone there, and it's pretty impressive. However, this movie's pacing is a mess. It is so long. It takes 30 minutes for them to get to the opening title card. I straight up thought the movie must have started, and we hadn't even got past the cold open. There's parts in this film that involve characters just exposition dumping the plot so much, I just couldn't help but check out. Now, the actors are great, so I'm still locked in most of the time, but couldn't we have half of these scenes cut down, especially because the concept of this film isn't even that hard to explain, that it requires immense exposition time to develop this evil AI. Like, we get it. It's an AI program that developed a sense of superiority, can think of every possible outcome, and will always be 3 steps ahead. Why do we need a 20-minute sequence involving agents telling me this? I don't think the idea of an evil AI is corny, but goddamn. It was hard keeping a straight face when they were having serious conversations and kept referring to this AI as the entity. Also, I'd go so far to say this movie's villain is probably the worst in the whole series. Gabriel just sucks. And I wouldn't mind this guy if he was a standard villain of the movie, but tying him into some unseen backstory with Ethan, like why? Like, why are we doing that? It seems ridiculous, especially this deep in the series to start poking into backstory that has no real merit. Like, Gabriel made Ethan? Okay, sure, how? Honestly, this part kind of made me dislike Ethan's character a little bit in this movie too, because why did they include this? I'm glad Kittredge showed up again, but like, where's he been for 6 movies? There was no explanation for it at all. I don't know. This movie has great parts. There's very exciting moments. I'm definitely down to rewatch this type of movie again, but in terms of the whole series, it's kind of goofy for me in terms of storyline, and it took me out quite a bit. And the whole Ethan backstory and Gabriel stuff, just, in my opinion, I think it actually sucks, because it kind of takes away from the history Ethan's already had. Like, if it was so important, why wasn't this mentioned earlier, or at least tie it in a way that's not so lackadaisical? So while I'd watch this film again, I'd throw this movie in B tier. Now, this was considered a part 1 until they decided that the next movie was going to be called Final Reckoning instead of Dead Reckoning Part 2. So now it's considered its own thing, but now it's called You know what? Tickle me surprised, because The Final Reckoning hit me in the feels. This movie, for what it's worth, took the silly premise of the previous one and continued it in a way that felt earnest and bittersweet. This is technically the final movie of the franchise, and you can easily tell. A little too easily in some parts, but there's an aura of conclusivity that is littered throughout the film, and honestly, it's a pretty entertaining way to go out. The film is built on spectacle, with each scene being one that tops the next in scope and insanity. And I am being so deadass right now, this movie takes it up 3 notches, which I couldn't believe it was possible. In terms of stunts, action, it's wild. I probably sound like a broken record at this point, but there's so many moments in this film where you just sit there like, how the fuck did he do this? Since the backstory was quite painfully laid out to us last film regarding the entity, this movie kind of coasts by on major story elements involving it. It's quite straightforward with this one. They have to look for the Podkova, which is this key that basically destroys the entity, as it sits at the bottom of the ocean with this sunken submarine from 2012. There, Ethan has to link up with his team and stop the entity once and for all. There's more deliberate details, but that's the main gist. It's as straightforward as it comes, and as I mentioned, it's pretty fun. We get to see Ethan and co in multiple different locations around the world doing crazy shit. This film is like watching a Tom Cruise stunt showcase, and if you're into that, then this is exactly for you. However, if story is what's kept you engaged in previous films, I'd say this film does a better job than Dead Reckoning, but I wouldn't say it comes close to the powerhouses of 4, 5, and 6. Sometimes this film can lean too hard on the nostalgia, where it feels like a Mission Impossible greatest hits montage. I mean, some characters in here are directly related to previous movies' characters just out of the blue. Now, I don't hate that necessarily. I think it adds some context to how certain people act in the previous movies, but I mean, did we need this? I could take it or leave it. Same thing with the entity being directly related to Mission Impossible 3. Talk about thrown off. Was not expecting a Davian mention, or having a plotline from that movie be directly related to the entity. Now, it's not like Dabian is actually in the film, but like I didn't think any movies from prior would be related, let alone a part or mentioned in this one. Now, remember the random worker guy that was in the vault in the first movie, who was seen later in some funny remark from Kittredge? Sends away? Yeah, he's literally a main character in this now, and becomes a literal member of the team. Color me surprised. The team this time around is alright. I've obviously made my comments on what my favorite teams were, but this one is pretty decent. Obviously, Benji is great, and I truly enjoy Grace. I think she's a cool newcomer, but bringing in Pom Clementieff's character, Paris, and a cop character from the last movie named Degas, they're okay. They weren't really given many layers. It's hard to compare them when Ghost Protocol just set the bar so high, and then Rogue Nation took it even higher. When you have side characters in those movies that have literal character arcs, here it's kind of just one note again, almost Mission Impossible 3 like. This movie sends off Luther though in a very heartfelt sacrificial scene that had my stomach in knots, not gonna lie. And once he's gone, you can really feel it in the team chemistry. I generally loved how Luther and Ilsa affected the team dynamics, and it's kind of a shame how they got removed, especially Ilsa. I personally think she should have been endgame for Ethan. I don't know why they kind of introduced Grace so late when Ilsa was right there the whole time. Now, this movie is Ethan's conclusion, and I do think how they conclude his journey is done really well and quite bittersweet. It's honestly really fun seeing a franchise only age better with time, and going out this way was not only fun but also just good. Ethan's character isn't butchered, he remains loyal and caring, and continues to fight the good fight. If this is truly the final Mission Impossible movie, then it's a great one to end on. This movie is also just pure blockbuster bliss. For a movie that cost $400 million, it looks like it does, and it's a ton of fun. If you had to go see a blockbuster in theaters, this is the type you want to see. Support blockbusters that actually utilize its budget to full effect, because this movie does that. Ranking this among the other films, I'm going high B tier. I think this movie's long duration, much like its predecessor, also involving Gabriel, just a downright shitty villain, and its sometimes overabundance of highlight clips from other movies, hold it down from being an A tier film for me. However, you definitely should go see this movie in theaters though. Like I mentioned, support a blockbuster that actually looks like it's worth $400 million. It's worth the price of admission. Now, I just wanted to get on here real quick because whenever I do these videos, I tend to get kind of sad by the time it's done, especially with good franchises too, because when a franchise is good and knows how to hook you in each time, it's sad to see it conclude. But unlike certain franchises, it is important to know when to end. And with Harry Potter recently, and now the Mission Impossible movies, it's fun to watch a franchise consistently stay great the whole time without veering into destructive territory. I enjoyed watching Ethan Hunt and his stories throughout the years. I genuinely believe Ghost Protocol, Rogue Nation, and Fallout are borderline masterpiece action films, and the final film is a solid conclusion that's worth watching all of the previous films up to for it. This franchise gives you so many great characters, intense action set pieces, and iconic moments in each one that it'll definitely go down in history as one of the most batshit crazy franchises ever. I literally don't know how anyone will top Tom Cruise's stunts in any of these films. Jesus Lord. But anyway, here's my final ranking of all the Mission Impossible movies, and here's a ranking of the villains for each film, if you're interested. Do you agree with me? Let me know in the comments below, and while you're down there, hit that like and subscribe button. The more likes this gets, the more YouTube will push this out to more people like you who enjoy these types of videos. Also, hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is dropped from your boy. And as always, guys, I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out.